Hey, greetings everybody. It had been quite a while since we had our last video where we serviced a no power HomePod, and now we have another one here. This is actually a unit we got off of eBay, and it came in its original box. It's a perfectly good unit, and once we service this, it will be available for sale if anybody wants to purchase. But we wanted to share with you some of the updates in the process as we service the no power first generation HomePods. All right, with that, we already verified that it has no power. We plugged the power in, no power whatsoever. So at least the symptom is that there's no power. Let's go ahead and open it up. Before we do that, it's a good practice to just take this power cord off. All you do is just hold it off and just roll the cord around your hand and just yank it. Just get it out. Very simple. And when you push it back in, you really push it firmly until you hear a pretty loud snap. So this is a little bit modified so that it doesn't cause any scratches. But the way I find this to be most easiest is actually doing it like this, and it's the least obtrusive way. And I'll show you once we are done with this. It takes little time, but if you know where you're putting it, it's actually pretty simple. Kind of leaned upwards, like so. All right. Like so. This ensures that when we are going around, we don't scrape the bottom of the touchpad. There we go. So, and we're back. All right. Once we get to the first point, then it's pretty easy to get this off. There we go. So, no issues here. And when you look from the top, it's absolutely perfect. There is no missing white color anywhere. So it is as if it is never touched or removed. So that's important. Number one. All right, so let's go here and let's start. There we go. Let's start removing these. Simple. And then we'll take this top off. For that, and if you are wondering what this one is, it's a Minn-Tech. It's a very nice unit. You can adjust the torque. You can adjust the spin RPM. It's a very good unit. And then this one, a little modified again for this use. But you remove this. Well, you slightly lift it up. And then we use these kind of dentist tools. It seems to be the best for removing this top control surface. This is your display. I think it's also called display. And remove it from minus to plus. Okay? Because your cable is folded this way. Okay? Very good. Now, if this is removed from the base, the frame, just stick it back on. This little piece here doesn't really hold anything. It's better to just remove it. Make sure you don't block the holes. Where the screws go in, but there are 4 screws. And the next step is to remove these 4. These are black ones that hold the top frame onto the logic board. Like so. Okay. Now remove where these the tensioner strings attached. Lift that up. One standard thing we do is the tips of these, like so. It helps keep it together, and also when we are installing it, it also helps keep the retaining string under the coil where you coil the string. All right, let's make sure we're still in the middle. All right, not too bad. Okay, so just do this, separate, remove this piece, and here we go. And this is our logic board. I'm going to make a small note in there about no power service, and I'll call it full service because we always do full service on these. And I'll tell you what in a little bit what full service is. We do change as standard if we do service a HomePod for no power, which almost always is the Schottky diode. Out of maybe hundreds, there was just one that the fuse in the power supply caused the no power issue in one case. Other than that, there are a few other cases, but 99% of the time it's the Schottky diode that's shorted. I'm gonna put a date on that later on. So there we go. Actually, let's put the date on. Why not? 16 December 24. So there we go. And then do this, get this off like so. Okay. And then I'm going to fold this back. This seems to be the best method to prevent any creases, any wrinkles, any permanent mark or damage on the outer mesh. The next step is a little bit of IPA. This is isopropyl alcohol. You can use 95%. Let me show you, or 99%. Basically, put it right in between there. And this helps release the adhesive that is holding the top basket to the main, the frame, and this helps loosen it. And we'll let it do its work while we are pushing down this ribbon and getting those bolts off. That's that. All right. If you want really a slow process, see our videos that shows like the details, and that's more of a DIY. And this is for just showing you some of the changes that we have implemented since our last video. All right, let me get the torque a little high here, as you see. All right, let's plug it in. Seems to help. If you want, you can certainly keep those. We'll do that later. Well, we'll do that later. Interesting. This seems to be a bit harder to remove. Normally these aren't very tight and they could be easily removed, but not this one. There's always exceptions. No big deal. We'll use this guy to get those off. Slower but higher torque. Come on, there we go. All right, and we'll keep these in there. So the next step is to lift up the top basket from the frame. and we go in between there, lift that up, and usually the alcohol helps soften the adhesive. By the time we get to this step, if you put it in time, it will really help you in this step. Now let's keep going here. There we go. Now right next to the ribbon, be careful to not hurt the ribbon. Otherwise you're gonna be sorry. If this is only one, getting this ribbon is only, that ribbon is only available from another unit. And here, next thing we do is to make sure we clean this woofer. Looks healthy. Let's clean it. And then next we will remove, well, loosen, not really completely remove, but these two. Come on. There we go. And then now you can remove, lift this up, get the ribbon out, and push this little, and how this is attached in our other video. This is pretty easy. Little tab here that snaps into that little latch. All right, we actually replaced this. This seems to be soften over time, so we don't want to keep it. We don't want to keep it there. And then next we remove this little sleeve, this rubber sleeve. We'll reuse it, put it to the side. And then let's remove these. Actually gonna unplug this, there we go. And then again, you don't need to completely remove these either. Just loosen it and loosen it all the way until you hear that click. That's good enough. So there we go. And at this stage, you can remove this. And one good thing, if you don't remove these screws, is also there are very tiny, small rubber rings around these screws, and they remain in place. This one, like so. Okay, very good. Now at this point, I want to check the. It's actually 1746K. I'm pretty sure that is the Schottky diode as well. That is the root cause here. So the root cause of why 1746 and 1748 fails of all those Schottky diodes is another question. That is, there's a deeper root cause in this root cause. But all right, so this is giving us a little trouble. So these, next is this power supply. And you can leave these screws in place as well. Just lift it up and unlatch. Okay, let's keep these 4 screws in place. All right, and the next one is to detach this ribbon from the amplifier board. And then next step is to start removing these little screws that attach the amplifier board to the little tweeters and to the base at the same time, or to the frame. All right, this one is a little, there we go. There we go. All right, perfect. There are a few that this one doesn't reach, so those we will do by hand. with our trusty little metal screwdriver here. There's actually one. Perfect. Now let's remove this. And the next step is to check and make sure that we do indeed have a short. All right, so it's the right here is our diode, and indeed it's short. All right, so we will go ahead and remove the Schottky diode. Let's get this our air gun to around, well, about maximum 500 degrees. And in our video there's much greater detail on how this is removed, where it is, and so on. You can see multiple videos on this, I think. This is more of a what are the steps and some additional things that we do that isn't available in the original HomePod that we do is what I'd like to show. So that's one. And then the next step is these four. So we're going to remove these. This we do as a standard. I want to show real quick these four. Where are we? There we are. Can we see it? Yes. So these four here. These four are ceramic capacitors that will be replaced with 35 volts capacitors. These act as DC filters. We replace all of them standard. If we are replacing, if there's a base service, if it's a base service or a death fart service, this is the root cause. We replace these, and when we replace these, we check the date code on the diode, which actually goes here, which is now removed. If the date code of this matches the problematic date codes, we replace that as well. And sometimes, you know, when we are down here, it's very easy to replace this, so we do that. All right, so let's put this to the side so that we don't get confused. And let's keep going. And let's remove. All right, so let's remove. Okay. Sure. Okay. It's a little closer here, maybe. There we go. So what we do here is, this doesn't take too much heat. Just apply some heat, and then it is easier to replace all four of them, like so. And then let's put this to the side. Perfect. Next step is, all right. Next step is to apply some flux paste here. Okay, and then also apply some flux paste here where the diode is gonna go. Put it to the side. And then let's take a new, here we go. It comes on a ribbon roll like this. A new diode. Okay, and then let's put some on this one. Okay, perfect. And then we are going to apply some solder first. One of the, it's the anode or cathode, one of them right there, the big one, and then these two. Apply it here. You need to give enough heat to this so that the solder actually sticks on there. Perfect. Turns off. All right, and then let's place this on here. Okay. Like so. And it will slide into place once enough heat is applied. It doesn't take as much heat to put on as it does to remove it. There we go, soft enough. Make sure we have enough heat. I'm just gonna tap it and push it down to make sure it is nicely placed, which it is. Now the next step is to replace the 4 capacitors. And these are, as I said, 35 volt, 10, it should be nanofarad ceramic capacitors that are capable, that can withstand high temperatures, but these eventually probably will fail. But I have a feeling that these are better in quality than the original ones. Okay, just need to be placed. All right, the next step is a fun one. We just apply some heat and wait for them to position themselves, which they will. It's probably not very visible from there. And I just when I was moving them, I misplaced them. So let's do that one more time. Perfect, let's just do this one first, and then we'll add the last one. As you can probably cannot see, but they slide themselves into place. It's really kind of fun to watch. Let's make sure this 4th one is also in place, which just did slide into place. Looks very good. All right, so one step that we do here is to use our jewelry magnifying glass and make sure that we have a good bond on all 8 sides. Perfect. This is perfect, as good as new. Now let it cool off a little bit while we put these in place. All right. Perfect. All right, so it's cool to the touch. One additional step here. Let's call full service and the date code. All right, now we're going to reverse these steps. First, get this ribbon in place. Put the amplifier back. Push the ribbon in place. Perfect. And then the first one that I do here, these screws, is to position this correctly. And I often start where the power adapter attaches to the connector to the amplifier board. Right next to it. Those are the most open ones, and you can see where you are centered or not. As you can see, all the holes are pretty much lined up perfectly. And then tighten it a little more. And I'll use this trusty, all right, little power screwdriver to put on the second one. And 4 of them. These 3 you need to put, but I'll put this side first to balance it out, like so. And then I'm going to put this 3rd one here, because these will be right underneath the power supply, and I don't want to remove the power supply once I put this in. All right, let's attach the power supply to the connector here, and then the ribbon down here, you push it in between the 2 tweeters. 2 tweeters that you'll see where it is. Just push it in so it doesn't, it's not loose and rattle around. It won't make a noise, but it normally should be in between there, tight, you know, tightly squeezed in. Well, let's get these in place. And this is the point where I am going to attach this ribbon and then attach this to make sure that we actually do have a resettable unit, that it is, the power is back on and the woofer works. We will verify that. Plug the power, perfect. And then let me unplug this. All right, here we go. And there it is, there's power. So this part is where I am going to be resetting this. While I'm going to be putting the rest of the screws in, I will let this unit reboot to factory settings so that we can bench test it. We do bench test these units with a number of different base patterns, at least overnight, to make sure we don't hear any. There we go. You heard those 3 beeps, and that means it's going to be rebooting. Yeah, we tested that at least overnight to make sure we don't hear any single pop or a fart or anything that is doesn't belong. There we go. And let's put this guy in. Oh, there we go. And okay, I'm not sure how visible this is in the video. And it's not that important. You will know what to do and how to do it because you will have removed it. Let's do hand installation. By the time we are roughly done with these screws, this should have rebooted. Or this will reboot. It's a matter of keeping all the screws in place, well, together, so that you know you don't miss one. These screws are connectors. They connect the amplifier board to your tweeters, so they should be in place. Otherwise, you might have missing audio in your tweeters, or they'll be intermittent. Perfect. Don't touch this, by the way. This is not very recommended what I'm doing right now for someone who is not familiar with. with this process. All right, let's see what's going on. Still swirling. It's almost done. Give it a little more and you'll see this woofer come to life when it's rebooting. Can't miss it. Or when it finishes reboots. When it finishes rebooting. Okay, let's not touch that. They're all in place. 4 screws that attaches. Just watch that. That's really fun to watch. All right. And then you unplug the woofer, okay? And then remove this ribbon and remove these two because you'll have to remove it. Separate them. And the power cord can stay there. One additional thing that we always do here is to use a self-adhesive 3M ribbon, 3M foam tape that spaces the ribbon from the little ring, this ring. And I find that to be occasionally, if it's not done, that the ribbon could cause a rattle, and I want to prevent that at all costs. Cannot stand a base with any kind of small, even smallest rattle is not bearable, so it shouldn't be there. All right, so positions as such, and let's go and let's get this torque a little lower here. We don't need a very high torque for these. Just do a cross pattern. Don't go like in order like this, just do cross, if you can remember. It's not super important, but it is still a good practice. All right, perfect and steady. Now let's put the ribbon back on. Sorry, the sleeve back on to the ribbon. So, okay, just push it again. All right, there we go. And here, I'll pull that, see the little white here, and from there I push down about a few millimeters there. That seems to be a much better distance for this ribbon to have once I install it. The next step is this ring, this rubber ring. It's actually nitrile. It's 5mm thick. Fits perfectly. Gives great base. We used to put little foam tape right on this base, which works really well as well. But this seems to be just as fine, a lot more practical, and it is it will remain intact and solid. It's 5mm thick. I think actually 4mm would be better, but 5mm does a very good job as well. It lifts the subwoofer up ever so slightly, but that also reduces the risk of subwoofer making any contact with the ring underneath supporting frame. So it actually works really well. All right, so perfect. Flip it over, get this through, and then line up these the best you can, and then you can look at these little holes and make sure they are centered. That will give you the correct position for these. And then another cross pattern here. Like so. Like so. Oh. All right. There we go. And then the last step here is another addition of an adhesive 3M tape. This is a thin tape, a thin profile tape, but works perfectly for this. And there are cases where we see this ribbon, since it's removed once, it could detach from the top ring, the top, the basket ring. And when it does that, you will hear this rattle. And this really super good adhesive 3M tape does a fantastic job. Well, we're in Minnesota anyway, so it's got to be some 3M tape, right? Okay. Well, not only that, it's really good quality. So here, now let's put this on. Position it well. One thing that we do here is to use one of these to make sure we are perfectly centered. Perfect. And then push this in. Perfect. Now let's plug the power to get a little bit more torque on our power driver here. And then another cross pattern here as well, if you don't forget. This is not always strong enough. That's good enough. All right, get to that. Perfect. 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 Now let's get these that I know did not go in all the way. Perfect. Awesome. Now next step is to put these little rubber spacers. If you don't put these in, these are not functional really in terms of the sound output. They don't do anything to it. They don't modify it. But what they do is to give a nice round shape to the mesh that will wrap around it. If you don't have them, you will see some hollowness underneath. All right, let's stick this well, and this tape is just not going anywhere. I mean, this ribbon is not going anywhere. And the spacing down there, the adjustment that I did is to make sure that once this ribbon is installed, that the ribbon is not loose. Once the logic board is attached here, that the spacing between the ribbon and the logic board is perfect. And this is actually perfect. It doesn't come loose. Since we have the subwoofer ever lifted slightly up, but it gives you a really great bass response, the nitrile underneath. I don't want the woofer to come into contact with the ribbon at all. Like any kind of risk, I would like to eliminate when we are installing these. That's perfect. Let's put this on. And the next step is actually these 4 black screws. Do not install them fully. Just put them in so that they hold it in place. That's all you want to do at this point. Like so. And like so. All right. Okay. Now we can on. Make sure these are even. These two are even and together, and then pull them together so that they are equally long on either side. And then like so. Perfect. Open up a little bit. And then let's put this tension string here in place. Okay. Well, all right, there we go. All right, I have to, okay, there we go. And then this one goes in as well. Let's pull it out and then roll it around. Your fingers, good. Don't pull it too much. just enough so you can stretch it really nice. Perfect. And then this is 1, and this is 2. That's good. Stretch one more time. And these 2 screws, time for them to be put in place. 1 and 2. Perfect. And this one goes on this side. Roll around twice. And roll around here twice. Perfect. Now, it's time to put these down and tighten. Perfect. And then let's put these 2. It's okay. Stick here for a sec. All right, here. See, this is the step where it really helps if you have the tips of these tension strings with a little bit of a notch. Helps keep it in place, like so, like so. All right, this is probably good, but let's just still put it underneath if we can, like so. Excellent. And then let's put our control surface, attach the ribbon. Make sure the holes are lined up here. All right. All right. Normally I have this light here. There we go. Perfect. And then let's put these in place. One and 2 and 3 and 4. Excellent. Let's clean this up ever so slightly. Make sure there isn't anything left in there. And there we go. That's it. Clean it up, and it is ready to go.